Talking with Dave Murray, a member of the Michigan High School Lacrosse Coaches Association Hall of Fame, an inductee from 2011. And first of all, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us.
Well, I'm glad to talk to you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And I guess the easiest question is, you're one of those rare individuals that didn't coach high school,
Correct.
but coached the middle school program.
Yes.
So being in the Hall of Fame and having coached the middle school program says a lot about you. Easiest place to start is, how did this all get started? Because you don't have a lax background from
Not at all.
child.
No.
So where did it start?
Well, my oldest son, David, attended Catholic Central in 1982. It was his freshman year, and it was a new sport then. And so I went over and I was watching him, and I found it interesting because I had never really seen the game before. So I'm watching him, and then over at Our Lady of Sorrows, I was involved with the athletic club over there. And, I wanted to get kids involved in a spring sport because we have fall with basketball, football, and there was really much going on other than baseball. I tried to get a girls and boys soccer program, so I approached the CYO, the athletic club did, and they turned us down. They said, no, we don't want to have any of that. So I said,
Do you think because of stealing from other sports?
I believe so. Yeah, and I was disappointed because all we're trying to do is get kids involved, in a program, get them off the streets, and they like playing for school too. I mean, So I'm talking to Coach Phillips, Van Antwerp over at CC, and they said, well, the Lacrosse Foundation, they'll help get you started. So I approached my athletic club, and they said, sure. And Father Cronin gave his blessing, so that's how we got started. They shipped us balls and some sticks, and being a mechanical contractor, I made up welded up nets, and so we got our nets made up, and that's how we got started.
We're going to talk a bunch about your nets, because believe it or not, there are actually some still being used.
No, I heard that.
And we'll get into that the whole conversation. What was your sports background? I'm just curious.
I played a little football at actually St. Mhslca, and then at Bedford High School.
Okay. I guess to start with is that you're a father. There's no internet at the time.
Oh, no.
Lacrosse wasn't exactly a mainstream sport. In fact, it may have been completely foreign. Where do you start? So you start from scratch. Where do you look first?
Well, I went to the Farmington Library and got the 2 books they had.
Which were what?
I don't even remember. I mean, you're going back a few years. So I researched them and read that, and then and talking to the guys in the program, and just said, well, learn how to throw and catch. So that's what, basically that's what you start with the young kids. I mean, they're not, it's all new to them. So
now, when you went to Starhouse and started it, your son was already at CC.
My oldest son, he was freshman. That's how I got involved, watching him. And I'm watching CC, and I'm traveling, watching them, and they're, like you were talking about, football players, and all they did was try to beat the hell out of the other team because they had no stick skills,
right.
And I'm watching them play these other teams that are throwing the ball all the way around, and then realizing that they had feeder programs. So that was another reason I wanted to get it started, was to feed Catholic Central because a lot of the kids went on from Sorrows to Catholic Central.
As you're researching this sport, as you're starting as a sort of a newbie, did you notice any differences between or similarities with other sports?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a little bit of hockey, and then back then a little bit of football because you could check a little more than you can now. Back in the 80s, there was like my son and I were talking, the man ball. That used to be,
literally.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, and it was just a nice sport. I mean, all the kids that picked it up loved it. I mean, they'd get a stick in their hand and they wouldn't put it down. I mean, the baseball coach hated me at Sorrows because once a kid picked up a lacrosse stick, he was done with baseball.
Right.
And some of the parents that wanted their kids to play baseball weren't too happy either because they wanted, what's this lacrosse?
Well, there are very few CYO lacrosse teams in those days.
Oh, there wasn't any. I mean, St. Hugo's was the only other Catholic program, but that would, we weren't involved in the CYO. CYO had nothing to do with it. We were strictly independent, and then you had, Cranbrook, Country Day, Lance Cruise North, I believe there was
Right.
like 5 or 6 of us back then.
It was, do you get the impression even in those days that it was still sort of the elite prep school sport? Or was it?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, basically it was. I mean, because you had Cranbrook Country Day, and St. Hugo's was a basically private school, just like Sorrows, And the only one that wasn't was Lance Cruise. That was public.
When you started a middle school program with maybe only one other middle school team in the state, who did you anticipate playing?
Well, that's what we did a little research. I mean, there was 4 other teams,
Right.
So at least we had, some opposition, and it turned out pretty good. The program has really progressed. But then with my youngest son, I coached him for 2 years, 7th and 8th grade. And he went on to, on the Catholic Central, but with my boys at Catholic Central, being with Coach Phillips and that, and working with them, finding out what their schedule was at, I actually took my team down to Columbus, down Worthington and Upper Arlington, and played schools down there when CC used to play in the Midwest and go down there. I actually took my team down there. I had a lot of support with the parents who were very supportive at Sorrows. And it was a good time. I mean, the kids, they played, 7th, 8th grade. When they went to high school, they're playing against the same kids, in high school down there.
Your oldest son was a freshman.
Yeah.
You had younger sons that played for you at Sorrows?
Darren, my
Yeah.
youngest son, Darren he played 7th, 8th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun being able to get that opportunity. There's a lot of programs in this state have started because dads had an interest.
Oh yeah, well that's basically
Same kind of
I
fun.
coached intramural basketball. I just
Your dad.
yeah.
What were the things in the beginning that you really had to work on? What are the fundamentals? If you're getting this book and you're reading through a book
Well,
for the
that's
first time.
just working with the young kids. You just basically work with throw and catch and ground balls. It's and if you can run a play, that's a bonus. Because half the time the ball's on the ground. So.
And technology wasn't what it was now.
No. The game has improved tremendously. And teaching a kid face-offs, and then I was very fortunate that a lot of the kids from CC that would come over and help the older kids. They'd help me out at times, and it was really beneficial because a lot of them had brothers, that were playing on Sorrow's team, so they'd come over because they were in the neighborhood, so they'd stop in and help me out a little bit, give me some direction, and that, we used to play which I can't believe I did this, but on Sunday mornings we'd be in the gym, just me and the boys, by myself, and practice throwing and catching and putting a waste paper basket up there and trying to shoot in, during the winter time, and we could do that. I don't think I could do that today.
You coached for 8 years?
Basically, 7.
Okay. I guess I'm curious, what did you learn from day one? Obviously it's an education, but what did you learn from day one to that 7th year? Did your knowledge grow as a sport career?
No, my knowledge, yes, from being a novice to, with the kids helping me learn how to, run plays, and coming back, the older kids, and they're bringing some of their plays back from high school, and what you can do, and and depending on the group of kids you have, you could run some of these plays, but it all depended on your athletes. They could.
As a coach, what was the most important skill to you as a player? Do you want them to catch and pass more than anything else?
Yeah, it was basically be able to throw and catch. If you can catch the ball, if you throw and you can catch it, you're going to be able to advance down the field. And I had some good athletes, and they outrun the other guys. If they can catch it. If not, it's on the ground and it's anybody's ball.
Yeah, I've always said it's a speed sport, not a brutal sport.
No.
And speed kills everybody.
Yeah, right. That's what you see as it developed. like when we talked earlier, like when my son was playing at Catholic Central, it was, you know, they not, because they had no stick skills. I
Right.
mean, they were just learning, and it, you know, so it was kind of a rough game for a while. And that's where I saw that they needed some kids coming in with some stick skills, you know, instead of coming in not knowing anything about the game. At least they've had 2 years of stick skills coming in, so they have some knowledge, you know, and so, because it is a finesse sport. I mean, I could see that as I watched, you know.
Talk about the beginnings. You talked about Sarles, and you got a little bit of money from the grants and bought some sticks and bought some
Yeah.
balls, but you still got to have helmets and equipment.
Oh, yeah.
How does that? Talk a little bit about that, because that's the crux of it.
Well, I had great support with the athletic club. I mean, you know, we had fundraisers. I mean, you know, just like any private school, you know, and we had the best equipment. I had a good AD that, you know, I mean, you got to have the best. I mean,
Right.
you know, you're sending kids out there. No,
And in those days, it was still buckets, so
yeah. So
the old helmets. Where do the high school coaches from CC at this point fit in? Or were they helpful? Dave Phillips, maybe one of those guys?
they were supportive. Oh yeah, and that's why I used to attend the meetings to find out what their schedule was, so I could schedule my Saros teams opposite, so I could watch the high school kids, you know, watch my kids play when, you know, which made it beneficial to be there and say, well, all right, this is my schedule, and don't interfere with the high school schedule, so I can see the games, because, you know, as a dad, you know, you want to see your kids play, you know, I mean, that's what it's all about, you know.
But it's interesting that in a lot of these cases, the coach or the dad, in some cases, is literally a week ahead of the kids
Yeah.
in terms of knowledge.
Yeah.
You're,
Oh,
just,
yeah,
you're,
no,
trying,
it's awesome.
you're trying to inch up and stay
Well, the
ahead
kids
of
are
it.
smarter than me. I mean, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
They were better athletes than I ever was. But I mean, I had really some real sharp kids.
What size teams did you have? Did you have a 7th and 8th grade or just the one?
Just something.
Just 7th and 8th.
Right.
How many kids would you typically have on a team?
We were fortunate enough. Most of the time, I had enough to have two teams where I could scrimmage. But sometimes we didn't have as many players as that, so we'd play half field. But a lot of times, I had enough kids that we could split it in half and have a scrimmage between ourselves. You know.
What was your forte, offense or defense? Yours, as a coach? Or were you stuck by yourself doing both?
You know, I don't know. I never really thought about that. I kind of liked the defense where the kids, you know, could make a good stop, you know, and move the ball.
I think the sport now is sophisticated enough that you would think yourself as an offensive coach or a defensive coach, much like you might in football.
Yeah.
You know, from that standpoint, I have to hire defensive coordinators because
Oh yeah, no.
I have no interest in coaching defense.
Well, that's true. I mean, when you get that, you know, high school it's that way. Middle school it's just basically, you know, trying to teach the kids just basic fundamentals so that they can go out there and you know, try to advance the ball without being on the ground all the time, because you know all you hear is ground ball, you know, scoop, because that's the other thing, trying to teach your kids how to scoop, because they all go like this, like they're digging with a shovel instead of scooping, you know.
What did you know in year 7 or 8 that you didn't know in year 1?
Well, I knew a lot more plays. I mean, I knew how to establish, you know, some plays and you know how to coach the kids a little better. Because when I first started, it was just, you know, throw the ball out there and let's have at it, you know. So,
We currently talk about lacrosse being a young sport in the state, and it's, you know, we do this and we
it
do
is.
that.
I mean, really, when you think about it.
But if you really think about it, we've been doing it for 50 years,
No. Oh, yeah.
and if we've been playing for 50 years, because you go all the way back to 75, I'm not so sure 50 years is a young sport anymore.
Well, no.
You know, from that perspective.
True.
Let me switch gears. One of the things that happens in new programs is they have to be a little bit of a mother of invention. You said you were your goals, your nets that you built are literally out of pipe and plumbing.
Yeah.
And explain that, because there's,
Well, the nets, you gotta have nets, so that basically I made them about 1.5 inches pipe, you know, and welded them up and, you know, so that, being fortunate in the business, you know, didn't cost me much, you know, to make them up. And then, you know, some of the other schools needed some, so I, you know, hey, it's all about helping everybody out, you know.
There's jokingly stories that go around that kids have run into the post on your nets and killed themselves. They didn't, but
No.
you were making them out of what was made out of, and it was funny
Black
because
steel pipe, you know.
Yeah.
So,
nowadays the NOxy, everything has to be certified with certain this, that, and the other. I'm not sure those nets would survive
no, I don't
some of the
think
safety
so, no.
standards, but those are the things you did in those days.
Well,
to get
yeah,
through it.
that's how you get a program started, and that's how you help everybody, you know. I mean, that's the way lacrosse was back then. I mean, it was, everybody helped everybody to get it, you know, keep it going and where you could. You know?
What did you use for netting?
Well, we got the nets, I mean.
Regular nets.
Yeah, we brought the nets.
And inside, like
right,
any
you
other
know,
net,
but,
right?
but yeah, I, you know, get the dimensions out, I forgot, out of the book or wherever, and make sure, you know, we're actually legal.
Were those nets on wheels? Because those things had to
No,
weigh.
no.
Those things had to weigh what?
Well, that's where the
100
kid,
pounds.
that's where the kids hated me, because you two get that net, and you two get that net. They used to hate that at the end of practice, because they'd have to drag them back and get them, you know, put them away. They used to hate that part of it, because they were heavy.
I've purchased a couple of these net caddies with wheels, and you just kind of put it in, one kid can sort of pull them down.
Yeah.
It's like any other cart
Yeah.
would be from that
That's the way it
standpoint.
is today. I mean, things have improved so much.
I've had the pleasure of playing on some of your nets. Some of your nets actually migrated to a program in Waterford where I was,
Yeah.
and one was left at a middle school.
Yeah.
And I remember having a couple kids hit the corners where the joints were, and usually, typically, nets rattle a little bit. Not a bit with yours. They were as solid, as rock solid as possible.
No, I was just glad that I could help out. You know, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Any anecdotes from the days, middle school days? Any thoughts, any stories?
Well, I just, I had, you know, some great kids. You know, they were very good athletes, and they went on to be better athletes in high school and college, and even in professional sports. You know, it's just kind of neat to see them. You know, been so long ago, you watch them grow. You know, go on into different colleges. I mean, play lacrosse. I mean, without starting this program, would they have ever played lacrosse? You know, and here to go see them play in high school and then go on to, you know, Notre Dame, Michigan State, they go out east. You know, I mean, that's just a great feeling. You know?
Now, your oldest son went to Michigan State, played for Rich Kimball.
No, my youngest son did.
Youngest son, I'm sorry.
Dave, my oldest son went to Northwood.
Okay.
Played club lacrosse there.
Okay.
But Darren went to Michigan State,
Played
played
for Rich.
varsity as a freshman.
He wasn't up there in the demise of Michigan State, was he?
No, he was gone by then. You know, he played from 80, was it 88 or 87 or 88 to 91, 92. You know, I'm trying to remember the years, you know.
Hard to believe in Rich Kimball's days, one of the last few games they played was Syracuse,
Yeah,
inside Duffy,
yeah.
on the turf,
Oh, yeah.
which now would be considered, sacrilegious for
Yes,
football.
no, I know, yeah. I traveled with him a lot. And I remember going out to Long Island, and the only trip I didn't make was to Colorado Springs. But it was neat going to different areas and watching them play in different communities.
What was the joy for you coaching the middle school program in those years? I mean, I know it's the kids, but what did you get from it?
Well, just, you know, the excitement and the support I have from the other parents. I mean, we had a great support team there with all the other dads and mothers. And just seeing them mature and progress and see how the program was developing. I mean, the program was pretty good.
As a middle school coach, did you spend time watching your varsity kids when they left you up to CC and
Well,
watch
yeah.
them play?
Well, I got to see him play because my son going to CC, so a lot of them went to CC, so I got to see, well, you know most of them, Stan Seidel, Mike Sullivan, my son Darren, and Dave Wilson was the coach at, I coach all them kids. I mean, now to see them develop and then go on to college and play, I mean, that's...
Dave, so you coached Dave in middle school?
Yes, he was
He's
going.
had a pretty remarkable
Yeah.
coaching career.
Yeah, no, he was on my team in Saros, that's where he came from.
Do you think Dave would be the first to beat Rice? It took him, whatever it
Well,
took
it
us,
took him a
14
long
years.
time.
They were quick.
Yeah, right. No, it took him a long time. It was good for him. It's good to see how well he's done with the program.
A lot of those guys speak very highly of you because of your temperament, because of the way you approach things. And I think a lot of it was, Dave was clear that a lot of your neutral demeanor,
Yeah.
because you weren't a yeller.
Well, I'm sure. I'm sure he'll.
Well, a lot of them said that
Yeah, no,
it was their
yeah.
first experience. Dave was,
Yeah.
talked about the first experience was being around somebody who was new, was kind of calm and just did things as an adult rather than a Bobby Knight type.
Yeah. Well,
So
Yeah.
you've had some influence on those kids as well.
that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
You watch lacrosse much now?
No, not too much. No.
Is the sport, in your mind, in the time that you were around it, you think you didn't get improved?
Oh yeah, no, it's leaps and bounds from when I was involved in it. I mean, then the rule changes to help to speed it up a little bit more. So
If you were starting a program from scratch, especially a middle school
Yeah.
program, what would you tell the guy or the girl that you're talking to?
well, you just have to be patient. I mean, you realize who you're working with. I mean, these are young children that just learning. And I don't know what experience you would have as a coach, but I mean, basically, we're all learning together. I mean, that's the way when I was starting. We're all learning together, and let's see what we can do. And we know the fundamentals. You got to throw and catch, and it's a great. The hand and eye coordination is what I notice. I mean, I'm trying to teach use both hands. That's I try to install that in them and see how they do.
Well, the Canadians prove you can be one-handed, and I say that slightly different from a boxing game. But your point of, we're all learning this together is my point earlier about your approach to just being a mentor.
Yeah,
being
you're there. You're there as a supervisor. You got this is young men. I mean, you're trying to install stuff in them and teach them, and that's, I mean, lacrosse. Let's have fun, but you still, got to have fun.
Despite what seems to be a calm personality, would your players tell me you were competitive?
Oh yeah, no, I was competitive. My team was competitive. We won the championship like 5 years in a row in middle school. We won a lot of the tournaments. We went down. We went down to Columbus. One group I had down there, we actually ended up playing a JV team, and we held our own with them. The kids had some good athletes.
Can you imagine today a middle school team playing a junior varsity?
Well, there's a lot of things that we did that would never happen today. I mean, like being in the gym by myself with young men.
One of the questions I asked earlier in an interview with one of the original coaches was that, there was no teams in the state.
Right.
Did it ever occur to you that you had nobody to play?
Yeah. Well, no, we did a little. I knew there, from talking to Phillips and that I knew that there was some that I didn't know, but they were telling me, there's teams to play. And that was the other thing with my AD. He says, well, who do we play? So there was, and he was kind of in it to see, we're going to play Country Day, Cranbrook. That's kind of, we're in the elite group,
Right. The other thing you should point out too is that there wasn't a lot of turf fields in those days. So
everything was in.
Not unlike your nets, they were
Right.
little.
We had a pretty good field at Sarles
Yeah.
with football, but it was still,
Springtime.
Spring. Didn't get nice till the season was over.
Lots of barren spots, especially around goal creases.
The mud,
Well, you taught in those days. When you had those kinds of fields, you would teach bounce shots. You would teach all kinds of things you don't teach today. Now you teach a bounce shot. Well, the goalie, it's easy for the goalie because it's guaranteed the same bounce.
Yeah.
So kids learn.
Well, we tried to teach bounce shots, but 90% of the time it don't bounce.
Right.
That's right. Stuck right in the mud in front of the goal. Right. Well, that's then we'd have to chalk our own fields, and get them all set up for the game, and it was a lot of work, but it was fun.
Well, you're smiling as you're reminiscing, so
Oh,
that
yeah.
it must have been, especially coaching your children, must have been a great reward.
And and like I say, with my youngest son, he's still friends with all these kids. I mean, here it is, 30 years later, and they're still good friends now. And it says a lot for the sport, and the group of kids they were.
Well, listen, I appreciate you sitting down and having a conversation with us, and best of luck the rest of the way, and
Well, thank you.
we will get this up real quick.
Okay,
Thanks for your time.
thank you.